Zach from Gravel Bike California, back here in the Angeles National Forest, where we're ready to return to Pacifico Mountain, but with a twist. Now, this is the ride that started it all, and we try and make it annually here for GBC year number 6. But we love adventure, we love trying new things. Well, last year, Bill and I went and we saw this dirt road that paralleled Angeles Forest Highway, and we were like, you know, we should try that. And it's a gorgeous ride. That was a year ago. Hopefully it still holds up today, and we have a bunch of people that are gonna find out with me. So, let's roll. While our regular Pacifico Mountain Loop is almost 40 miles, and some may consider remote, this new route is 20% shorter and features a fire road that is even more isolated, meaning I should have expected more surprises. Considering the remote start, I'm always impressed with the number that show for Pacifico, with everyone starting off with a proper pace, hopefully having been prepped for what's ahead. So when you're planning a ride, I like to try and get the first half definitely climbing top heavy. I mean, you don't want to find out that someone doesn't have legs when you get to the second half. Now for this ride, the first 13 miles is a climb. So that's more than a third of our route. It's pretty hefty. While some years we've camped out prior at Monte Cristo, today it was just going to serve as the point where Angeles Forest Highway starts to ramp up, slightly ticking to a relatively consistent 5 to 6% for the rest of the pavement, still an efficient way to knock off that vert. Now you can see the top of Mill Creek Summit ahead. I think you just want to look at it once, because if you start focusing, it's going to take a lot longer to get there than you can imagine.
I go with the shorter.
It's easy to find peace of mind, as it's generally quiet on Angeles Forest Highway, although that's what can make it dangerous too. So hopefully you can hear over your heavy breathing, and in this case, look to the power poles to the right where we'll be ending, finishing off the smooth first 7 miles at Mill Creek Summit, seeing that the group stayed pretty close together, continuing up above the fire station, where it's time for water and reassessment in the parking lot. What's great up here at Mill Creek Summit is you have other options too. If you head west over here, you get up to Mount Gleason, and you can connect all the way to Little Tahunga by Mendenhall or Santa Clara Truck Trail. But today, this is a 3-mile climb up here. The fire definitely hit this area a few years ago. You can see a little bit of lack of trees is starting to regrow a little bit, but don't be thinking about that. It's probably like a 8 to 10% grade for most of the way, so we'll take our time. While we were leaving our only fueling point of the day, we'd be returning back here in about 12 miles, where the real mystery would begin, because these first 3 up Pacifico I enjoy more every time, with the 8 to 10% forcing you into a decent effort, leaving you in a reddish-orange zone. And I've been reminded that the best views aren't in front of you, but off to the side. That may be easier to notice while talking to others, especially when topics of conversation unexpectedly pop up, but not much else distracting from these panoramas. Even though we still had more to go on Pacifico Mountain Road, everyone identifies crossing this ridge as a recollect point, with our next stop a short one 1.25 miles ahead, that on one hand I'm eager to get through, while on the other not to miss this rarely seen part of the forest, though nice not to be as straining as the previous, knowing our next break would be brief, forgetting there was more signage than I remembered to not overshoot, ready to make one more quick regroup, and starting our last leg up Pacifico. I promise this video isn't all climbing, even though some have problems letting go of this notion on this 1.5 mile out and back. with crossing the Pacific Crest Trail, this segment's midpoint, where the grade then pitches up another notch, while noting how the surface gets bumpy here for the descent, and what might be a reprieve to launch you into the final push leaves you out of momentum, having two wrong options to the peak that I'd like to think we go less wronger, but the final struggle will be worth it all, now with actual signage to pose with, thanks to Peak Art 125 making a number of artworks to grace our peaks, with Pacifico definitely worthy, reaching above 7,000 feet. Always remarkable with this height in the Angeles National Forest, and its similarity with the Eastern Sierra, which is why I'm so eager to bring others. Finally, now to get our pace back up, but not at full throttle, which I think is a good thing to start, just to be sure not to build overconfidence too early. Now putting our witness skills on good use from the way up, keeping a little caution mixed in with the speed headed down. One proper regroup to make sure everyone made it down safely, even though the next 4 miles of descending should also be familiar today. It's the first time I've led ascended down this portion, and while I've done it many times before, hopefully this will lead to more of a trend. Definitely needed a breather after all that fun, as this recollect was another chance for water and a decision-making point, where for Tony, his fate was already sealed, with only so much improvisation to keep his bike rolling. So with a few others, taking the expedited return on ANF was a good choice, with the rest on new charted territory for our Ascendant, being the first time taking others on Road 4N18, and since I was the only one to ever ride this section before, I was the most qualified to lead by default, and though I remember this downhill featuring some trickiness, I wasn't too clear about to what extent, putting into question how smooth this would be, as I maybe didn't take the best lines, possibly risking others going over the ledge as well, as even with some pavement emerging, there better not be any let up to your grip, with this mile averaging a steep 14%, and for sure not a steady one, and even pumping the brakes was precarious, hoping everyone behind would take a hint, as hitting the nadir, it was important for another break to make sure everyone made it out with their bits and pieces. Our GBC emergency vehicle was out of service, though the good news were those wishes for more climbing would be granted, although no one added the pretense of it being on a bike, with maybe not everything going to plan.
So I admit that I think I did it in wintertime. It's a little sandier, a little bit more of a challenge, but aren't I making better memories?
This climb presented a chicken the egg argument of which came first, between the electricity poles and the fire road, as most of this 2.4 mile climb wasn't as bad after the start, able to stay upright for the duration, and even offering brief moments of spinning, raising hopes for now. But while we were reaching the end of this ascent, there was reason to be trepidatious reaching the peak. Not that this descent was going to be rougher than the previous, definitely smoother and half the grade for 1.5 miles, but whatever elevation we were giving away, we'd have to get back soon and then some. So it was an enjoy it while we've got it moment, but coming up to this split in the road, I purposely stopped the group from taking the wrong way. Is actually there are homes back there, more than 3 miles off Angeles Forest Highway, and then navigating some unexpected moistness, hitting another split in the road, while some nursing some ride souvenirs could take the shortcut out to Mill Creek, where maybe a few more wished they had joined. I knew from before this near-mile climb would be the worst of the day, though I didn't predict it being this much worse than last time. Certainly softer than my other trip here, now leaving me to describe it as the most direct path out of our atmosphere. And yeah, there was some biking involved, but far less so than my last time out, so I credit everyone sporting a can-do attitude and reminding me of the bond from the spirit of adventure. Even though there was a gravity assist coming, I warned that it was going to be short-lived. But not about overshooting this curve when it flips back up, nor the quick hike-a-bike we were laughing off. But in planning a route, you want to end on a high note, and these last 3.5 miles of dirt would do just that. Glad we were owed a lot of gravity assist, as this descent not only provided a variety of turns and grades, but changes in environments along the way. No missing the end, as Upper Big Tahunga Road is no better signal, and despite some challenges, we were more amazed by all the beauty and solitude this new diversion brought us, with the last 3.5 miles connecting us with our regular loop. So it was familiar there would be some headwind, and the portions of downhill were definitely welcomed, even though we wished for more. Finally closing off this loop on Angeles Forest Highway, and even though the numbers dwindled for the last segment, it was a great day of adventure for all.
Now, if you're fortunate enough to do this route, you clearly would have appreciated how much fun it was had you ridden it 1.5 years ago with me. Today it was definitely a different flavor, a lot saucier, and difficult. But you know what? This is part of gravel, it's an adventure. This is a living playground out here, and sometimes you have to deal with the conditions. Still, a lot of fun out here, and definitely it's great to have a chance to explore something like the Angeles National Forest, and we'll be out here to Pacifico again, maybe in another iteration, so we'll see. Anyways, thank you everyone who's supporting us. Please hit the like button, support us on Patreon, go to our shop so we can bring you more. I'll get this in from the State of Dirt.